How you saying it? Welcome to the round 2 review. Hey Ashley, thanks for joining. Hey guys, obviously comment your thoughts and we'll talk about it. So I'll give you guys a minute, let people tune in and share your thoughts, and then we can get into it. Just gonna get the comments up here so I'm ready to go, and then we can go through it. Beautiful. Good to get off the board, isn't it? Good to get the win, get to 1-1. Next week's gonna be a tricky one. Richmond Sunday again. Both teams 1-1, so that's gonna be hard. But there was a lot to like about today. You know, despite the fact that I think we only probably played a quarter and a half of like our best footy. That was enough to get the win against Fremantle. I think in other games we're going to have to play better and for longer. But at this, you know, it's only round 2. We're missing a bunch of players from our best team. Away from home as well. We've never won a game at Optus Stadium leading into today. So for us to go there, you know, Nasai gets a debut and he had 13 possessions. You know, he overkicked the ball at times, but again, a very positive thing. Great to see him running and going. And then you've got Max King kicking 4 after having a very quiet first half, only 2 possessions, I think, up until half time, basically. And for him to respond and kick 4 was really telling, and that's what got us going. And then Jack Higgins responded after kicking, I think, 4 behinds last week. He's kicked 4, could have kicked 5 or 6 today. So really, really exciting to have those two going, and they kicked 8 of our 9 or 10 goals, I think. The only other goal kicker was Dan Butler. So I think we finished the game with three goal kickers, and we managed to win the game. So I don't know if that's a record, but that's, 8 goals from the 2 of them, 9 for the game, 9-11 to be exact. So we could have been well ahead at halftime, you know, 2-7. The second quarter, I think we had 16 inside 50s to 4. And we just didn't capitalize. And that's kind of the way it was in the first half. That's why we were all so frustrated, right? Like, we were so frustrated leading into halftime because we all probably thought we should have been ahead. 2-7, 7-2, and we're 2 goals up, looking pretty good. But 2-7 was just same old Saints, missing goals we should have kicked, making everything look a lot harder than it should have been. And we were prone to doing that. You know, the second the ball got inside 50, we were over-kicking it, over-possessing it, being a bit too tricky and too neat, and not just putting it in the best position, and that was just in front of Max King to run and jump. And if he wasn't doing it, kicking it to a leading Higgins or letting the players crumb. So it was pretty hard to watch, as Dee just said. But the third quarter, we got going. We kicked, 6 goals, 3 to 1 goal, 3. And that was all Max King and Jack Higgins. You know, it was the Max King and Jack Higgins show. And it is exciting to know that a lot of players can be down, but all it took was 2 good forwards for us, and that changed the game. So we've got game changers there. You know, we always know that Max King can be a game changer for us, but the fact that Jack Higgins got going as well is really exciting. And then the fourth term, again, not quite the way I wanted it to finish. I wanted us to put the foot down and to continue to work and play fast, go through the middle and really win and kick a bigger score. But we kind of went into self-preservation mode and let them attack. And our defense stood up. You know, no Dougal Howard today, but Josh Battle, can we please? He had 21 possessions or 20 possessions, a game high 13 marks. I think he had a career high 7 or 8 intercept marks. And he was absolutely, probably best on ground. He was huge in the back line. Anytime they went for a long kick, because they played tall, Freo. They wanted to go long. They had Lob there, Meek there, Darcy there when he was on the ground. They wanted to bomb long and outmark us. And with no Dukes there, Josh Battle stood up. He played that intercepting mark phenomenally. He was absolutely incredible today, and that was the best I've seen him play. Whether it's in the back line, forward line, wing, that's the best I've seen him play hands down since he was probably in the back line 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So Josh Battle, he was quiet last week and we critiqued him a little bit during the week and on the podcast, but he stood up when he needed to and he was really the leader in the back line. So full credit to him. It was a just fantastic game from him. It was great to see. And like I said, anytime the ball went into the back line, you knew he was flying for it. The first play you would see would be Josh Battle punching, marking, or just bringing the ball to ground. And that was just great. And the back line in general stood up. I thought Ben Patton did a great job on Walters or Webster. I think they both kind of had tag teamed on that. We kept their smalls quiet. Our smalls did their job without being amazing. Wilkie did his job without being amazing. I thought Brad Hill, despite turning the ball over a little bit, tried to create run and dare. And that's what Bradley does. You know, he kicks the ball and it's either going to cut the game open for us or it's going to turn the ball over and it might be risky going the other way. But for the people that think that Bradley turned the ball over a lot, he did go at 70%, which was above average and one of the highest disposal efficiencies on the ground. So I think, got to give him credit there. I think 30 possessions, which is great, getting his hands on the footy. And Nasiah as well, running off half-back. I thought he looked quite natural and he flew for a lot of footies, took a great mark and kicked it beautifully to Max King, who kicked the sealer. So Nasiah setting up the sealer there, which was great. Jack Steele wasn't his big day-out game like we can expect, but I think he laid 13 tackles. Battle had 13 marks. And 13 tackles for Jack Steele. That kind of set the tone for us defensively. And I thought that was kind of the one constant for the whole game. For me, at least, was the pressure. You know, the pressure was there the whole time. The efficiency, the accuracy, that sort of stuff wasn't that waned. It came and went at times, but the pressure was always there. And I'm curious to see how many tackles we laid for the game. We had 50 inside 50s to 42. Clearances, we outworked them big time, 26 to 37. Centre clearances, last week we got battered. This week, 4 to 14. But I guess that is, mind you, they were missing Mundy and Fife, but 4 to 14 is huge. More stoppage clearances as well, more hit-outs, equal in turnovers. In terms of tackles, we had 60 to 53, so that's a good solid effort. 60 tackles, and they stuck. We got a lot of holding the balls, a few that weren't paid, but still, it spilled the ball, and we could rebound from that. I thought Gresham was great. I thought he stood up and created some dare for us. And Dan McKenzie, we just kind of had an even spread. There weren't too many at the bottom. Rowan Marshall was the lowest with 9 possessions. Dan Butler with 10, but he kicked a goal. 11 for Max King, but he kicked 4. Joyce was all right. Burnsy was okay. Jack Hayes 12, but battled really hard and obviously gave a chop out to Marshall. In the ruck, Nasiah with 13. Wood 14, fairly quiet late. Webster 14. Membry 14. Wilkie 16. And then from that, it was 16 to Higgins and Patton. And Lynott was actually surprisingly pretty good. He had 18. And then the highest for us was Bradley Hill with 30. Brad Crouch stood up after a quiet one last week. 29 disposals. Sinclair 25. Love Sinks in the middle, by the way. It's going to be hard to see him go back to halfback. But Sinks in the middle at the moment with no Zach Jones, no Billings, no Hunter Clark going through there is really critical for us. But this is just a confidence booster. This is just... You just need to get wins on the board at this time of the season, especially when you're not playing your best footy. And we're not playing anywhere near our best footy. But we saw it for about 25 minutes in the third quarter, and that was enough to get the win against Fremantle. So we know it's there. But we just got to try and resist the urge to get defensive, get slow, get paranoid that we're going to lose the game, and just be fast and excited that we wanted to win. So I'm proud of the boys. It wasn't our best performance, but it was good enough to get the win. Obviously, Freo were missing a few players, but so are we. And we had to travel to a ground that we've never won at. So you can't really dismiss that. And 4 points is 4 points, whether it's by 100 points, by 50 points, or by 10 like it was today. So I'm really proud of the boys. We could have let this one slip away at halftime. It wasn't working for us, but we looked angry in the third. And, kicking that goal and celebrating, getting into the face of his Freo defender and stirring it, getting into a bit of a fight there. That's what you want to see. You want to see the boys up and about, showing emotion, and really caring about their footy. And that's what they did for the whole game, but really that third quarter really set us up. So that's kind of my take on it. I don't really think there's too many negatives other than just the field kicking and the set shot kicking early really let us down. And you just kind of wonder whether against better teams, we're not going to have that chance of playing a quarter or 2 quarters and that's going to be enough to win. We need to play more than that. But hopefully this is building. Last week was kind of not really any quarter we played decent. This week it was 1.5, 2. Next week we're going to have to play 3 or 4 to beat Richmond because they played very well today and they may well have Dusty back. But we might also get Paddy Ryder back, maybe Zach Jones. We don't know, but those boys, I think Paddy played today actually in the seconds, and Zach Jones was running at training the other day. So was Jack Billings, and I think so was Hunter Clark. So those boys probably aren't far away, maybe 2 or 3 more weeks, but it could be an interesting week on the track, and hopefully we can get a pretty strong team against Richmond. But without further ado, let's go through some of the comments. There's a few to get through already. So just bear with me as I get through them, and we'll see how we go. A win is a win. That's from Daniel. Absolutely, Daniel. A win is a win. Missing Caulfield, Battle, and Howard put. Don't know what you're saying, Thomas. Sorry. Kieran says Seb wasn't even that bad this game. No, I thought Seb. He swung between the flags. He kind of didn't do anything amazing, but he didn't do anything ridiculous. And that's what you want from Seb. He's not going to be the game changer. He's not the sort of player that has that X factor. But if he's honest and just plays within his skills, I think we're okay. And that's what he did today. And that's the Seb that we want to see when he's playing in the 22. And we got that today. So no major hassles there from Seb. I think he finished with, what did he finish with? 21 disposals and 4 marks. And how many tackles? 1 tackle. So, yeah, kind of did what he had to do. Nothing amazing, but again, probably, not the best performance from Seb. Mackenzie was awesome. That's from Stu. Yeah, Mackenzie did some nice things. I thought his field kicking was actually exceptional today. There was that passage in the back line where he just basically started on the right side of the 50 in the Freo forward line, cut all the way across, and then still managed to hit a target in the middle of the ground. So he has that composure about himself now that maybe a year or 2 ago he didn't have. So that's great progression there from Mackenzie, and credit for all the hard work that he's done. Second half was brilliant. Didn't like the first half though. What's with the hate for Nasai? I thought he was brilliant in the second half for a first game, and that's Marcus. I agree too. It's his first game. 13 disposals. He went at, I think, 59% efficiency, but that's going to happen in your first game. The fact that he got his hands on the footy, to me, is enough. I'm really proud that firstly, he got a game. Secondly, he got 13 possessions on debut. He took risky kicks. He wasn't shy. He didn't just go for little chips. And he finished the game well. He took a great mark and he set up King for the sealer. So you can't be too disheartened by that. He's going to get better. He's not going to rock up and have 40 possessions. So for Saners out there that are critical of how he went, I think you probably need to rewatch the game. How far away is Paddy Ryder? Potentially 1 week away. Thomas says, how good might it look with a fit Hunter Clark and Billings and Jones? That is exactly what we're missing. That rotation in the middle of the ground is really important. Today we didn't have it. I think majority of the time it was Rowe, Steele, Gresh, Sinks, or Hayes, Steele, Gresh, and Sinks. So it didn't really rotate. Ross was in there a few times, but we didn't have that luxury like we would want. But it was enough, and luckily we came up against a team that was missing as many stars in the middle as we were, and that kind of allowed us to just play with that starting lineup, and that did enough to get the job done. Battle with one of the best games he's ever played. Almost broke my phone at the end of the first quarter, but glad we won. That's from Kyle. I think we're all a bit upset there, Kyle, but good to see the boys turning around. Ronan says D-Mac has some great influence despite not the highest possessions. Spot on, mate. He only needs about 10 to 15, but he does enough with it. He creates drive, and he always sticks to the simple kick. You know, he doesn't go for the outrageous balls, but he knows, like I said with Seb, swims between the flags, keeps it simple, and does it really well. So that's all we need from D-Mac, and another good solid game for him under his belt. Mitchell says, Richmond, Hawks, Suns, GWS and Port and Marvel need to go on a run now. Absolutely. We need to continue this form. Like I said during the week, I don't want us to respond, which I was expecting, and then crash back to earth against Richmond. Next week, we need to continue and we need to beat Richmond. And if we do beat Richmond next week, we get players back the following week. Ryder, Jones, maybe Billings, Hunter Clark won't be too far away. We get those players back. We're close to full strength again, and things start to open up, and we can really believe in the year again. And we can always say it, like every year we say it, but again, I'll say it, but a week is a long time in football, and it's funny how quickly things turn around. So if we get through next week again, it could be exciting times, hopefully. King was brilliant in the second half. That's from Dale. Absolutely, mate. He was the game changer with Higgins. They were both absolutely superb. Matthew saying Higgins and Butler's forward pressure was elite tonight. Jared Lynett also didn't look out of place. That's a good point. Jared Lynett was pretty decent. You know, his kicking was good. He always went for that kick in the middle of the ground that you don't expect from a lot of our backmen. Even Bradley Hill, and he pulled it off a few times. He opened up the ground. He's got a bit of distance on his kicks, and he's not shying away from those harder kicks in the middle of the ground. So yeah, he might keep his spot for next week. Who knows? But it didn't do his chances of playing next week any harm at all. Matt says, although King ended up playing a decent game, I'd love to see him start leading towards the ball rather than always asking for it on his head. I thought he led to the ball pretty well today. You know, like the first goal he kicked was Brad Hill, and he turned back, and that's when Bradley kicked it to him. Kicked the goal. The second one, I think he had a bloke on him, but he just kind of pushed him off and ran at the ball. And the ball, as long as King's here and the ball's there, King will always run into it, and he will always mark it. If the ball is King's there and the ball's there, easy to defend. But I think today King led at it, and even some of the kicks forced him to lead at the ball. King doesn't always need to lead, but if you put it in front of him, it's going to force him to run and jump. You know, when you've got confidence about you like he did today in the second half, he's going to run and jump, and he's going to go for those balls, even if he doesn't think he can get to them. And he might crush a pack, and he did that a lot tonight. You know, he kicked 4, but he could have kicked 6 or 7. He brought the ball to ground really well for our Smalls, and unfortunately they couldn't capitalise, but it was enough to create chances. Daniel says, good win in the West with several key players out. Sinclair, McKenzie, Battle, really becoming good players for us, absolutely. Xavier says, the winner side, I think we are severely underdone on a number of fronts. Be good to hear those fronts, mate. I think I kind of could guess what fronts they are, but feel free to share more of those thoughts. Could Hayes play just forward if Ryder plays? I don't know. You've got King, Membry, then you've got Hayes. Depends if Sharman can get in the team, which was, again, would have been great to see Sharman come on as a sub, but obviously there was no chance with no injuries there. I don't know. I wouldn't play him permanently forward. I don't think so. Battle stood up was the general today. That's from Ronnie. Christopher says, frustrated with the angst with Brad Hill's game. Yes, he got caught a few times, but was one of the only players moving, making space, giving options, tighten up the decision-making, and will be looking good. Absolutely. You'd rather Hill have if we think he has an average game at 30 disposals at 70% efficiency, you take that with most players, So I don't know why we seem to be over-analysing Bradley's game when other players get away. Like Jack Steele today had 59% efficiency at 26 or 27 possessions. We don't critique that, It's just it stands out more with Bradley because he's going for those risky kicks in the middle of the ground. Yes, the fucking boys. It's from Mitch. Catherine says, imagine the Hayes, Marshall and Ryder combo. That'll be beautiful. What do you think was said to flip the switch? That's from Bill. I honestly hope that it was within the playing group. But if anything was said, I think it was just loosen up. Play on. Play on instinct. We are, I don't know how many times I have to say this, we are at our best when we play on instinct, and we did that in the third quarter. Unfortunately, we went back to that stagnant style in the fourth when Freo got going and we froze, but in the third quarter, it's very much get it in long, get it in fast, and it doesn't give Freo's defence any time to set up, and it doesn't get their midfield time to get back and flood. Last week, we played so slow against Collingwood that when the ball got to the forward line, we bombed it, and it was with 30 players in there. And that was all Collingwood midfield that just flooded it. We couldn't do anything there. Today, when you play fast and you look at Collingwood, you look at Hawthorn, you look at Carlton, these teams that are on top of the ladder now, believe it or not, Sydney, they play fast, they play through the corridor, they get it along to their tools, and it's always one-on-one, and they utilise it. And if they don't take the mark, comes to ground, they lock it in, all their smalls get to work. So that's what we did in the third quarter. We need to learn to do that for the rest of the game. Max King, big game. We've got something special there. That's from Shane. Why is Joyce getting picked over Highmore? Possibly our biggest positive from last year. That's from Todd. Probably because Highmore's not a key position defender. He's not a fullback. And Joyce is basically a like for like with Dukes. And that was just to keep the structure. I think today Battle probably played the Highmore role better than what Highmore probably would have played. But it obviously gives us options next week against Richmond, whether we want to bring Highmore in or just continue with the backline we've got, but bring Dukes back. Radley says, even though we got the win through some individual brilliance from King and Higgins, I hope this doesn't paper over the cracks of the first half and last quarter skills. Kicking, marking, and set shots were pretty horrific. A win is a win, but we need to improve on that against the better teams. I think we all agree there, Radley. We all know that today that performance probably doesn't beat the top 8 at the moment, but it's something. We need to get confidence, and 4 points is confidence. And with confidence, we can play more of our style of footy. And we're a confidence-based team, so I think we needed that win more than we needed to hone in on the skills, if that makes sense. Where's Cooper Sharman? Medical sub today, couldn't get a game, and I don't know, we'll see how we go next week, but it's unlikely that I guess he might get the call up. He's probably going to go back to Sandy and have to earn his spot for Sandy next week in the VFL. How the hell did we let Bradshaw get 27 uncontested possessions? No idea. He had an enormous game. I think what did he finish with, like 38 or something? We just didn't man him. We let him do what he wanted. But I suppose with Fife and Mundy out, you could probably afford to let him do what he wanted. He's not as damaging as those two. And it kind of allowed us to attack the other way. Done well to beat Freo and umpires. That's from Shane. Great tackle from Webster in the final minutes of the game. It's from Dale. It was a phenomenal tackle. Saved us there. We need Zach Jones back. Hope we see him soon. Butler does nothing. That's from Matthew. Yeah, Butler, what did he finish with? Dan Butler finished with 10 possessions. But he did lay 6 tackles. So his forward line pressure was excellent. You can't fault him there. Jamie says, did all right considering we still don't have all our players back yet. Gabby says, have you ever played footy? I don't think so. I'm happy to show you my premiership medals and player of the season awards and whatnot, mate. If you want to have a look, feel free to invite you over and you can wear it if you want. If you've never won a premiership, it feels really good. Trust me, kicking a goal in a premiership is also really good as well. So yeah, happy to talk you through that whenever you want, buddy. DM me. Dale says, we were the best team of the day. That's true. You have to say that. I mean, even the commentators were saying that. They were very, very complimentary of us in the first half, even when we weren't winning and we were kicking point after point after point. They just kept saying, Saints on top, Saints are the better team, Saints this, Saints that. And I was like, just stop talking shit. But when you look at it and you watch the game and you take it the scoreboard and you just ask a neutral, you just go, yeah, we were the better team. We had more inside 50s, more clearances, more scoring chances, more of the play. We were the better team. We should have won by more. And we didn't. But hopefully this is something that we can learn from and we can get better at. It's a start. Time management is and was key. Yeah, I thought we chipped it around well in the last quarter and we And yeah, we kind of saved the game there. But it would be good to put the foot on the floor and win by more. We still don't have that killer instinct like some of the better teams. And that's really when you know that we start to become a good team, is when days like today, we see Freo, we see they're down, we see that Max King and Higgins is on top. And we just keep going. But today we didn't. And we tend to do that. We need percentage, and that's why our percentage is never high, is because we never put the foot to the ground, and we never see a team struggling, and really we don't identify, well, they're here for the kill now, you know? But hopefully soon we can develop that. That just comes with experience and with leadership on the field, and knowing, let's keep going, boys. No, don't chip it around. Don't be satisfied with a 20-point lead. Don't be satisfied with a 30-point lead. Keep going. Away from home, silence the crowd. And when the crowd is silent, you know you're on top. So just keep going, and that's, you know, it's just going to snowball. Blake Acres was solid. That's from Mark. I loved some of the boys just going at Blake Acres and trying to, like, Josh Battle wanted to put Blake Acres into the fence in the second quarter, and he didn't. But you just know that some of the boys just wanted to let him know, you know, we remember you leaving, mate. And, I mean, we traded him, and it wasn't really his fault, but, you know, some of the boys seemed to carry that through and wanted to bring that energy into the game. Xavier says, our list needs a refresh. The transition of the ball out of defence isn't fluid. We seem to hack the ball and have lofty kicks that put players under unnecessary pressure. Nasai looked good. Really need to work on our ball movement from one end of the ground to the other. Dean says, we are an introverted side. I agree. We are a very introverted side. That's why I think it's really important to have players like Higgins and Gresh and these sort of guys. Even Gresh actually is quite introverted. But Higgins, Rowan Marshall, these guys are quite extroverted. And I think that more players like that is really important in the team. And you look at Melbourne, you look at the Dogs, even Carlton, they've got a lot of extroverted personalities. We don't really have that at the moment, but hopefully that develops over time. Catherine's asking, thoughts on Hannah's going down again? Yeah, no point even talking about that. It's so frustrating, and you just wonder if this is his last year and he just hangs up the boots and we put that money elsewhere. But it remains to be seen what we want to do with Seb, with Dan Hanbury. Chris says, big Seb basher here, but he was great tonight. That's good. You don't see many of those. You don't see many Seb bashers coming out and saying, good job, Seb, or even with Brad Hill. But it's good to see a few of you admitting that he did have a good game today, or not a good game, but just a adequate game. Lynett was solid for his first game. Surely him and Dukes in next week to match up with Lynch and Rewalt. I highly doubt that Lynett will play on any of the talls. That'd be Wilkie and maybe Battle and Dukes kind of rotating on that. Tom says, so good we can win a game when Jack Still's not even close to our best player. That's great. We didn't need Jack Still today. It was more of an even spread, and it really was driven by our two forwards in King and Higgins. But I thought the back line kind of held up really well and generated a lot of that rebound. Does anybody know if the Freo player Young also played for the Saints? I don't think so. Jack says, players need to stop leading backwards. We will get lots more scoring shots if we lead forward at the ball. Yeah, we always want the kick over the back, don't we? But I think the key thing is to turn back and lead towards the ball carrier. And that's what King did. He was leading back. Brad Hill had the ball. He turned back in. Brad Hill hit him. And the defender was too busy trying to find out where King was. So I thought that was really impressive. And hopefully that's something we can put into our game more. And our forwards tend to do on a more natural basis. Ben's asking, can Ryder, Marshall and Hayes play in the same team next week? Yes, they can. I think they, if anything, that means Ryder and Hayes can tackle the ruck, and that can give more of an opportunity for Marshall and King and Membry to rest forward. And that would be a very juicy forward line, and that would really worry Richmond and their tall backs if we can do that. Leland says, pressure footy wins games. This was evident this evening. We lifted when it counted. It has to go up another notch next week in a huge game for the club. Maddie's match, Richmond, Sunday, Marvel Stadium, big crowd. Richmond getting some form back, potentially Dusty as well. If we can get Paddy Ryder back or anyone from the injury list back, we're looking good, and hopefully we can build on that confidence. Nearly lastly, Taylor is saying Sinclair is the mid. As the mid was fantastic, leave him there and get Clark or Conley in the back line off half back. Big call, Jack Sinclair, second in the Trevor Barker medal last year, off halfback. Are we willing to take him away from his best position over the last couple of years permanently already? That's a big call. So we'll see next week, once we get players back, whether we put Sinks back where we want him or if he stays in the middle. But he does create a lot of drive from the middle, and his field kicking going into the forward 50 is priceless. So you can never have too many Jack Sinclairs, you know, and it'd be great to have a couple more of him. But yeah, we could use with a couple more of him. But yeah, he's great in the middle, but I think he's also great at halfback. But it just depends on the cover we've got there. Whether Nasaya could even go back there with Brad Hill remains to be seen. We'll go with a couple more, and then I think we'll wrap it up. Jordan's asking, do we beat the Tigers? Yes, absolutely. I think we can beat the Tigers. They were good today, but GWS were missing a few guns as well, and they never play well at the G. So it's hard to kind of gauge how good Richmond were and how poor GWS was. Go Saints, that's from Gale. And Cameron's saying, get in on the IL29 chance next week, Jakey. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully, Marshy's got a few bangers in store and we can get to Marvel and the game's a good game and we can actually chant and celebrate some goals and hopefully get a win against the Tigers. And AJ's asking, Jakey, are you doing a player review from this game? I can. Last week, the player ratings got a pretty good reception. There were a couple of people that thought maybe it was a bit harsh, but yeah, if you guys are interested in the player ratings, I'm happy to keep that going. So let me know if you're interested, and I'll definitely get that video up in the next day or two. Tomorrow I've got Saints TV Weekly. That'll be back. The podcast will be back Tuesday night with Marshy and Joycey. And then in the lead up during the week, we'll be talking about the Richmond game, and I'll get my preview going for that on hopefully the Wednesday, the Thursday, depending on when teams are released. It may be a live preview, but it just depends on when the teams come out. And yeah, there'll be plenty of content during the week, guys, in regards to this game and in regards to the Richmond game coming up. So I appreciate all of you staying on after the game on a Sunday night and watching the review. This will be up on YouTube as well. If you've just tuned in and watched the full replay of this review, it'll be up on YouTube in about 30 minutes. Thanks for everyone for donating stars as well. It's really appreciated. It's been a really tough week in terms of family stuff. I won't get into it just yet, but yeah, for the Saints to win it has really brought a smile to my face, and yeah, it's been one of the worst weeks. So thanks to the Saints for actually turning up and playing well for the majority of the game and getting the win for me and for you guys, and appreciate your time and your effort commenting and supporting the channel as always, guys. So thanks again, guys. I'll be back during the week in the lead up to the Richmond game. But until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Enjoy the win, and I'll see you very soon. But until then, guys, take care and go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.